everyone. So our topic today is how to create a positive culture. So throughout this lesson, we are expecting everyone to have these learning outcomes, which are to learn what it means to have a positive culture, to be able to know the elements of a strong and positive culture, and to be able to know the essential characteristics in creating a positive and healthy culture. So before we define what is the meaning of the positive culture, we first discuss what is a culture. So a culture is a way of life of a group of people. So their behaviors and beliefs as well as their values. So since everyone has a different culture, we differ in many ways. So we need to have a positive culture in order for us to increase the productivity of each and everyone. So a positive culture affords employees respect while expecting quality work every day. A positive environment often encourages collaboration. The management trusts the experience and decision making of the employees, allowing them to take on projects without constantly hovering or correcting. So it says there that they need to trust one another as well as respecting their decisions for them to have a collaboration that is effective in improving the organization's performance. Because when there's collaboration, there's unity. So next, what does a positive culture look like? So a positive culture elevates employee enthusiasm, encourages better productivity, and in the end, leads to better company performance. Imagine having your employees wake up every day looking forward to getting back to work with the rest of their colleagues that they enjoy being around. So, this statement says that they need also to consider the mental and physical health of your employees for an effective performance. So a company should also be a home to every employee. They need to feel comfortable with their colleagues and treat each other like a family.
Every company's culture is the sum of its part. A strong company culture is more than just hiring the right people or coming up with catchy core values. It's a concerted effort by everyone, not just the CEO or the upper management, to show up, engage, and work with each other to make those values real. Strengthening your culture is an organization-wide effort. So there are 10 elements of a strong and positive culture. First is the core values, wherein every company's list of core values is essentially the moral framework upon which your organization depends, and that's exactly why putting some serious thought into your values is a must. After all, they are the guiding principles your people look toward to gauge how to act within your organization, or they should be. So, the second one is how you work together. Ultimately, your core values should have a profound and lasting impact on how your people work together. Say, one of your values is transparency. How your people interact with each other and collaborate together is perhaps the most immediately visible aspect of your culture in action. So, people should be able to see it in on a typical meeting and get a decent sense of what your culture is like and which of your values are front and center by the way people conduct themselves. So, the third one is the office layout, wherein every culture auditor should work salt should work should any culture so the third one is the office layout, wherein any culture auditor worth their salt should be able to tell you how your office layout is affecting your people's relation to one another, including their perception of the culture. Are your people trapped in one gray, soulless office, or are they disappeared throughout multiple branches across a region? Maybe your people all work remote and you don't have an office. So, whichever form of your office layout takes will have a tremendous impact of your company's culture. Remember, a strong culture emerges only when the office layout makes sense for the company and its people, the way they prefer to work, the amenities and design that impact their employees' experience, and whatever makes them feel most comfortable of or productive.
Another key element of a positive culture is communication. One of the goals must be to cater to the way in which people communicate most effectively. Communication is very essential for us. It coexists with us. So as a leader, for instance, you have to make sure that everyone under your command or watch have equal rights to communicate with other people in their own way that they may deem effective. By doing this, you must also see to it that every channel or means of communication is accessible to everyone for a harmonious flow of communication within a society, institution, and other organizations to exist. Another key element is a sense of community. A strong culture is an engaged, interactive, and collaborative culture. This attitude is surely a great constitute to a positive culture. It is because, in the first place, active interaction within a community is needed for it to prosper. Same as true in the aspect of culture. To attain a positive culture, a strong sense of community is needed to ensure the continuous existence of a culture and to contain and preserve its richness. And another key element is unified purpose. A strong culture is cohesive despite its differences because the people have a shared sense of purpose. So, if the people within a society or community doesn't share this unified purpose, then it is a high chance that a positive culture is hard to attain. Having a unified purpose is a great contributor to achieving a positive culture. Though there are different aspects in a society with different functions, there will always be a common purpose among them, such as to progress and succeed. So, in terms of positive culture, we must see to it that we share a common purpose for the common good, even if we have different perspectives in life. This way, we can be a society with unified purpose. And with with this characteristic, we can say that we are stepping closer to having or attaining a positive culture.
Next is the recognition. If recognition is not already part of your company culture, it should be. Recognition can mean anything from an informal shout out for a job well done to an org-wide announcement of a promotion. When your people go above and beyond, one of the best things you can do for them and the rest of your team is to make it public. Publicly recognizing people for their achievements has profound impact on your culture. It brings positive contribution to the forefront and turns your people into advocates for one another. This brings your people closer and gives anyone an opportunity to shine in the spotlight to speak. So in company, recognition should be part of the company culture. It's not just the company, but it's also the school. To achieve recognition as a strong positive culture, people who have high position should recognize those people who have an achievement. Like for example, one manager of a company should recognize those people who have an achievement by giving them certificate of appreciation to make them feel that they are performing well. Next is the connection. Connection in the workplace is less about developing close familial connection, and more about relating to people, ideas, objectives, perspectives, background, and values. If you can get your people to relate to each other even a little bit better, you're already on the way of creating a more connected workplace. A strong culture is one where empty in front and center. People who relate to one another, who get where the other is coming from and understand pain points for different teams, are better equipped to step up and offer support to ensure that shared goals are achieved. This kind of connection is fundamental. Connection, a company will not have a good performance without connection. A manager or a boss of one company should always have connected into their employee for their not only for their ideas but also their opinion. Having a connection to them, they can build more connection, or they are more connected to their workplace and to each other.
Next element of strong and positive culture is learning and development. Building a strong culture is about planning and developing real growth opportunities for people, informal lunch and learns, more involved leadership, courses, and an incentive to better oneself. Because when your people grow, so does your organization. Learning and development is both important in a work setting, either in our organization of a company or organization of a school. If you are an employee on that company or an employee of the school, either you are an administrative staff, manager, or a teacher, learning and development both enhance one's skills, knowledge, and competency that result in a better performance. If you were one of an employee, it is also important to share knowledge and insights with others or to your workmates, because through it you are helping them to work well, cultivate their attitudes, and perform better. So you are both grow in the same place. Next element, lastly, is listening and adapting. Organizations are always changing as veteran employees leave and new people show up, and as your company grows or shrinks, the culture will shift. So how do you preserve your culture? Just like its employees, a company with a strong culture is always iterating, getting better and adapting to change. And this requires listening to and acting on feedback. Even if your culture seems strong at first glance, your first impulse should always be to make sure it's working for everyone. Creating a strong culture takes years of hard work, and guess what? It's never over. Sustaining a strong culture requires constant scrutiny and analysis to figure out what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. It is true that organizations are always changing. Like in an organizations of a company or organizations of schools, we're facing changes. So if you were one of an employee, you have to respond to changes. Think of ways to make changes work. So it is important that as an employee, you have to listen others' feedbacks, because by listening, you show willingness to learn new things, procedures, and techniques that respond to changes. And also adapting others' feedbacks helps you to cope up and to unexpected situations or challenges. So if there is listening and adapting, it's not only work for you, but also work for everyone.
Essential characteristic of creating a positive and healthy culture. Number 1. Caring for, being interested in, and maintaining responsibility for colleagues as friends. Yes, these characteristics are very important and have a great impact on creating a positive and healthy culture because it represents that there is unity and teamwork. And I believe that companies that encourage collaboration help in having friendship with employees that boosts both performance and morale. Creating a sense of unity or teamwork makes employees feel like they are working for something bigger than themselves. And in addition, a happy, supportive workplace energizes people to come to work each day and boosts mood and concentration. And organizations with stronger cultures are generally more successful and have high productivity levels. Number 2, providing support for one another, including offering kindness and compassion when others are struggling. Yes, it's true, and these characteristics are very much important because every individual should feel valued and heard. I repeat, every individual should feel valued and heard, regardless of our status within the company. We never know where the next big idea will come from. So let every employee feel empowered to share their thoughts. And showing appreciations to employees, it can be as simple as pulling an employee aside after a long project and specifically thanking them for what they did. Just taking the time to recognize hard work in an authentic way is enough. Number 3, avoiding blame and forgive mistake. And I know we all make mistakes. And mistakes are pathway to great ideas and innovation. We all know that mistakes are the stepping stones to moving outside the comfort zone to the growing zone where new discoveries are made and great lessons are learned. And we all know that mistakes are not failures. Yes, they are simply the process of eliminating ways that won't work in order to come closer to the ways that will. And great leaders in a company allows their people the freedom to make mistakes. But good employees are those who, when mistakes are made, they learn from them, they own them, they fix them, and they put safeguards in place to ensure that same mistakes will never be repeated again.
Number 4. Inspiring one another at work. Everyone has the courage for being inspired by their work, especially when they really love their duty and responsibility. Then there's no other reason not to be inspired. Inspiring one another at work shows friendship at all. We have number 5, emphasizing the meaningfulness of the work. We need to emphasize the meaning of our work because it stands for how we should shows ourselves toward the work that we have. And we have number 6, treating one another with respect, gratitude, trust, and integrity. Having respect when you are talking shows the personal ability that you have. In everything you are showing what's good, the more you are so much great and easy to finish the work. Gratitude is very important to acknowledge the important matters, including the trust and integrity. Having trust to one another gives long way of communication, and integrity is the courage between you and your companion. So you have the assessment task, direction, answer the following questions. Number 1. As a citizen, how can you contribute in shaping a positive culture within your society? Number 2. What is the relevance of creating a positive culture within your school? And number 3, how does having a positive culture within your class improves the productivity of a teaching learning experience?